Ronaldo smashed the fans' phone. Real Madrid players, past and present, have really given Rodri a hard time. Most of all, Vinicius lost his temper. Let's discuss the madness that's happening on social media. And Manchester United has officially appointed a new coach. He became the cursed Sporting's truth and Robin Amorim. Today we're discussing this and more. Friends, this is Dose of Football. And the top 10 most interesting news up to this hour. You may ask, how long can one work without days off? And I will answer, as long as you gather 5,000 likes under each new video. So, to see each other tomorrow, you need to charge your like today. Well, I wish you a pleasant appetite and a pleasant viewing. Milan Paulo Fonseca entered Antonio Conte's field. The match started with a quick goal from Romelu Lukaku, who just melted central defender Rosaneri Pavlovic in great form. This season he has 4 goals and 4 assists in just 7 matches. After all, he didn't refuse offers from Saudi Arabia for nothing. And probably, not without reason, this summer he sent Aston Villa even further. Conte knows how to squeeze out and get the maximum. From the first matches, it seemed that even Wies, unlike Lukaku, didn't like Conte's football. But the Georgian adapted to playing left wing. In Serie A, the footballer has 5 goals and 2 assists. Cannavaro also distinguished himself. He skillfully dribbled to the center in classic style and beautifully placed it in the far corner. Meanwhile, Napoli leads Serie A. Conte has been successful everywhere if you don't count Tottenham. And while Antonio and co are flying on all fronts to Scudetto, they say Inter's mediocre form and Juventus's slow start are. I won't even mention Milan. The Devils had a rough start to the season. But yesterday, by the way, they looked not bad. You can't say at all that Napoli took out Milan. The game was even, but Napoli scored an early goal by chance. Rafael Leao started the match on the bench, came out during the game, and showed a masterclass in dribbling. As reported, the relationship between Fonseca and Leao is becoming increasingly strained. Fonseca is waiting for a leap from Rafa in the game and mental plane, and believes that he is not working hard enough. Leao, in turn, is dissatisfied with the decisions of the head coach. Rafa is convinced that Fonseca is questioning his status as the team's main star. Obviously, Paula is doing this deliberately as she wants to get the most out of Rafa. And first and foremost, to achieve the discipline and drive that Rafa does not demonstrate. He will start to smell in the press and return to defense, not just bypass opponents. He will get his place at the start, and no other way. Fonseca, dreaming of collective football, does not like egoists. By the way, forgive them for such a lead-in. Al Nassr flew out of Cuba to Cristiano Ronaldo yesterday, the king of Saudi Arabia. The team minimally conceded to Al Tawun. Ronaldo could have taken the match into overtime, but he missed a penalty. He also broke one of the fans' phone with his strike. This juicy moment from all angles can be viewed on our Telegram channel via the link in the description. There you will also find reviews of the main matches of yesterday's game day. By the way, you do understand that YouTube is quite, how to put it, a biased platform. And often I just ban fools in the comments, so as not to get upset and not engage in a discussion with them, because there can be consequences from YouTube. But in our Telegraph, you just go nuts in the comments under the posts with both feet. They are open to anyone who wants to discuss, argue, or flirt. So I'm waiting for all of you at your own risk and peril, Gabber. Federico Chiesa came to Liverpool for just £30 million. Such a modest sum came about for a number of reasons. Tigamoto did not see Feta in his football and publicly rejected the player. The footballer's contract expired, and the last years of Chiesa's career were marred by muscle injuries. Thanks to this, it was very cheap to get, it seemed, one of the most talented wingers of the generation, whose career went somewhere wrong after the last successful Euro 2020. At the last European Championship, Feta was good, one of the few bright spots with Quadro Azzurro. But the scouts probably didn't sign him for this reason. Liverpool decided to act simply because a quality crook was available for a mere pittance. Does he play well? Great. Doesn't he play well? It's all right. It's not that unfortunate. Just 13 million. While Chiesa can't find his football. In 9 games played by Liverpool since his arrival, Feta has been substituted 5 times, including due to physical problems complicating his adaptation. For the Reds, Chiesa played only 78 minutes. He came out as a right winger, unlike at Juventus, where Allegri often used him as a withdrawn forward. Overall, both positions are quite comfortable for Feta. Only in Liverpool, Chiesa can't perform in his native amplitude. They always expect a breakthrough from the winger, and the Italian struggles with this. 0 successful actions in 2 attempts. In general, Feta hasn't opened up yet. Personally, I didn't expect him to become a starting player right here. The problem is that so far, he doesn't even look like a convincing option to strengthen the game from the bench. Therefore, Liverpool may consider the possibility of selling the footballer in the winter transfer window. Calciomercato reports that Milan, Roma, and Inter are interested in him. In Serie A, Chiesa is more accustomed and comfortable, and the level of competition in the local top clubs is not as high as in Liverpool. If I were in Mercy Saitsev's boss's position, I wouldn't hurry to sell the player. Is this the first case of difficult adaptation? Feta struggled to perform well initially, largely due to serious injuries. We need to give the guy some time, after all. He was called the most promising player of the Italian national team in recent years. Manchester United considered Xavi as a replacement for Erik ten Hag. The Spaniard has shown that he can work in problematic teams and in restructuring mode. Moreover, he demonstrated his talents in dealing with youth. Possibly Xavi would have headed Manchester United, if not for some family circumstances. Football Insider writes about this. Now Xavi is not thinking about football at all. The coach doesn't want to bring his family along during the season. For him, it's important to join the team in advance and go through the preseason. Xavi approaches the choice of a new club with maximum caution. He knows he has built a good reputation in Barcelona, but it can be quickly lost. Moreover, this can be done formally without mistakes in the training process and tactics, but simply by heading a club where the management has made a mess. It's surprising that Xavi even decided to consider Paris Saint-Germain, where the pressure and level of chaos are at least comparable to Barcelona, where the coach simply burned out. Perhaps the situation in Blaugrana was terrible because of the evil spirits. At least that's what Xavi himself thought. As the coach invited a shaman to cleanse Barca. And no, not a shabby collective farm. So the coach tried to cleanse the room from impurity. And it's surprising that Xavi, after so many years in Barcelona, didn't realize that the impurity is not in the locker room, but in the offices. She firmly entrenched herself in the club's leadership. Generally, the shaman fired blindly. Next time we need to invite Vedmak. He would definitely quickly figure out where the miracles are hiding in the Grande. Whatever the boss indulges in, as long as the results are in order. And it would be better not to talk about finances at all. Continues to actively invest in football. We recently talked about the company's interest in the Paris Football Club from League 2. The family who previously worked together in Formula 1 plans to buy the team and introduce it. Nasser Al-Khelafi, a friend of the family, is assisting with the negotiations. Does he grow a future competitor for Straight Talkie reminds the story with Guardiola and Arteta. After the Paris purchase, investments are immediately released. The club has a budget exceeding $100 million, which is significant for Ligue 1 standards. Not to mention the second French division. Following Ligue 1, it plans to conquer Serie A. Leo Stampa reports that an Austrian company is in talks to buy Torino. The president of Torino, Urbano Cairo, has already met with representatives several times. Since September of this year, the energy producer has become a sponsor of Torino. He seems content with the club's current situation and looks to establish himself in Turin. In the end, he has long dreamed of a team in the Italian Championship, and fate itself has brought him together with Torino. Not for nothing is the club's nickname Bulls. I'm sure that Torino will show colossal progress under the new owner. After Ivana Juric, the team's lineup already fits the game of Red Bull's club system. Just tireless and physically developed fighters. The lineup will need to be rejuvenated, but most importantly, implementing new ideas should be quick. Torino, even without a budget that year, was one of the most unpleasant middlemen, who, if not offended, at least made the top superiors nervously twitch. And with the arrival of Red Bull's money and wise management, the club will become excellent advertising for the business of the new bosses, especially when it breaks into the Euro Cups. Kylian Mbappe has not yet met the high expectations set for him at Real Madrid. They expected a start from the Frenchman that would go down in history, like the one Cristiano Ronaldo had in his time. But so far, Mbappe is not bad, just not the Mbappe we're used to seeing. Kylian is really trying to fit into Real, and it's noticeable that for him, this is a dream club. And so far, he's willing to accept a more modest role than the one he had in Paris, with humility. As much as Mbappe might not want it to be, he is partly to blame for the fact that Real looks significantly worse this season than last. Kylian Ancelotti's involvement forced the scheme to be reconsidered, and the changes negatively impacted the team's gameplay. Of course, Ancelotti can be blamed for this, as he has yet to find a balance. But Papa Carl is hardly the best in the world at finding a coveted balance on the field. They just threw him a task that was too complicated with a large number of stars. Even such a distinguished professor can't handle it yet. Venice's Bellingham Rodrigo. The starlet is really powerful. There were doubts about the physicality of Mbappe's transfer, but Madrid's dictator Perez didn't care about their opinion. Uncle Flo always trusts his Chiesa first, even if he listens to his advisors. And here Chiesa told him that the deal was worth it, as was the case with Ronaldo's transfer. Babe himself is not at fault, but the situation remains unimproved. And who knows, perhaps with less, the situation does not get better. And who knows, maybe with Liach, you will have to get rid of the Frenchman to return to your former conditions. And as Defense Central reports, Liverpool is again following Kylian. Scouts have long been interested in the player. Jurgen Klopp also wanted to sign the forward. According to the source, the Reds are ready to offer real 150 million euros. Why not? It's a fair price for a player who came to the club as a free agent. The Madrid team still didn't spend much on Kylian, but the income from advertising and the like, plus 150 million, will not be left in any case. But I doubt that Uncle Flo is ready to admit his mistakes so quickly, which may not be a mistake at all. Anthony moved to Manchester United, aspiring to be the new Cristiano Ronaldo, but instead became the new Harry Maguire, transitioning from a star player to a meme in the Premier League. Manager Erik ten Hag signed familiar players De Ligt, Onana, Mazraoui, and Martinez, who have performed well so far, though it's premature to judge Mazraoui and De Ligt. However, Andre and Alexandra have emerged as team leaders. Whatever you say about Anthony, whom fans are waiting for on the field just for laughs, the Brazilian should sympathize. Ultimately, it's not his fault that Manchester United escaped with 95 million. The second most expensive transfer for Manchester United after Pogba. It was Anthony Gegg who made the first bid. If in his first season Wenger looked anywhere, then the second became a real nightmare for him. And this says that the matter is not at all an adaptation. There was an investigation with his ex-girlfriend, who claims that Wenger abused her. In addition, Anthony stood out with provocations of rivals in the England Cup, and a funny story about a personal photographer, whom the footballer invited to all home matches, and made him chase the ball so that Anthony could celebrate the goal, which, by the way, only happened in the 35th round last season. Anthony is called a spinner and jokingly referred to as the world's best player. Although here he did not ignore the golden ball, considering how they bypassed him at the ceremony with the Brazilian. Fichajes writes that MU is planning to sell Anthony in the winter transfer window, one of the Chelsea options. It's getting scary for the blue rivals. Modric on one flank and Anthony on the other. As they say, two in a pair, one in chocolate. Opponents of the pensioners can simply skip matches and accept a technical 0-3 loss. It's always better than playing against the Chelsea monsters. But seriously, I don't understand why the Londoners need Mudryk at all. But Sancho, who failed at United, has made a comeback at Stamford Bridge. They'll probably try the same trick with Santani. Ruben Amorim is the new coach of Manchester United. Sporting has announced the coach's departure. And here MU will present the specialist who will take the place of Erik ten Hag. According to Ben Jacobs, it's quite likely that Amorim will be leading MU in the match against Chelsea this Sunday. In Manchester, the newcomer will be getting 8 million euros a year. He will sign a contract on a 2+1 scheme. The coach decided to turn down Manchester City. He didn't want to wait until Pep Guardiola's position becomes available. Not only the townspeople were looking at Amorim. Liverpool also studied him when choosing a successor for Jurgen Klopp. It's interesting that after a murky summer story with a failed move to Liverpool, Amorim declared that he is fully committed to the Sporting project and promised to lead the club to historic double. But instead, he is leaving for MU. On one hand, it was difficult to stay and fight. After all, it's Manchester United. On the other hand, it's Manchester United, a club where absolutely everyone failed. So Jose Mourinho assembled a form of plus-minus. With early Solskjaer, things were not so bad, although it depends on what you compare it with. The fact remains that MU is a terrible place for a coach, especially for a young and inexperienced one like Ten Hag. Just remember how the Red Devils fans rejoiced when the club announced the appointment of the Dutchman. Now everyone is eagerly meeting Amarima. MU was interested in Thomas Tuchel, Gareth Southgate, Graham Potter, Marco Silva, and Thomas Frank. And Amarima's appointment became literally a thunderclap in the clear sky. Info about him only appeared yesterday. He's a specialist translator, his sporting machine, but as I've already said, in MU all this may not be so important. The Portuguese await a brand new challenge. I would bet that things will improve after his arrival. Firstly, things are too bad now for them to get any worse. Secondly, the players will get a new impulse and will be invigorated. Considering that Amarim is a good psychologist in MU, he should especially be able to play with new colors. By the way, Robin knows English and reads tactical literature in it. Therefore, the adaptation will be quick. Real Madrid ignored the Golden Ball Awards ceremony, as the club found out that Rodri would receive it, not Vinicius. Madrid sees France Football's decision as unjust. Marca writes that the award has ceased to exist for the club. Now the Jacobs are not planning to attend the next ceremony. Of course, this is all just a game for the public. They will come as sweethearts, especially if Vinicius, at a meeting of the Florentina Paris club, stated that Alexander Schifrin personally did not allow Vine to take the ZM at the meeting of the Florentina Paris club. Thus, Schifrin wanted to take revenge for the Super League. Vinicius, as you remember, stated that he will not give up, and the community is not ready for something there. And he will surrender, but the community is not ready for something there. And well, you won't refuse the Brazilian in persistence. Only here's how the publication conveys the explanation requested for the text of Winnie from his representatives. Winger meant the fight against racism, and what, in his opinion, was precisely the reason why he did not receive the award. It seems that Winger believes that the fight against racism is not in favor now. The footballer's representatives stated, "The football world is not ready to accept a player who fights against the system." It would be interesting to hear what Union of European Football Associations has to say. It sounds much more plausible than Vinny's speculations. A conspiracy with Union of European Football Associations sounds much more plausible than Vinny's fabrications. We don't know if Schifrin exerted pressure on French football, but Perez definitely pressured the bosses of the French edition. Chief editor Vincent Garcia stated, apparently the presence of Jude Bellingham and Daniel Carvajal in the top 5 was influenced by the position of Vinicius. Mathematically, this pushed Jude Bellingham and Daniel Carvajal out of the top 5. Mathematically, this worked in favor of Rodri. I was under a lot of pressure from Real. But, as it happens with other clubs, I was always clear and honest. Perhaps my silence drove them to the edge. Sounds logical. Bellingham and Carvajal's positions definitely didn't benefit Vinicius. Real and Carvajal's behavior definitely didn't benefit Vinicius. In Manchester City, Dimarsh was not harshly criticized by the medical staff for his behavior. Rodri said this is their club's decision. They didn't want to be here for their own reasons. I accept this. Pep Guardiola also did not criticize the Madridistas. That's their business. We won't judge others. The importance of the prize has grown. Xavi and Iniesta didn't beat Messi. Only the monster Ronaldo could. But Leo is the father of the monster. Guardiola also noted that Vinicius deserved to win, as did Rodri, just as Messi and Haaland deserved to win last year. Erling himself, by the way, ignored the award and preferred to go to the Malmo match with his friend. Messi didn't attend, but congratulated his friends and others on social media. I congratulate all the 2024 Golden Ball winners and nominees. Especially, I also congratulate Lautaro, Leo, and Ali. It's great to see them there. I also congratulate Lautaro, Leo, and Ali. Cristiano Ronaldo hasn't responded to the Golden Ball yet. And Karim Benzema seemingly disagrees with the jury's decision. Also, Karim Benzema, it seems, does not agree with the jury's decision. Also, during the ceremony, the Frenchman published a photo with Vinicius, the time of their joint performances for Real, and he signed "Too Strong, Legendary." Louis Saha also did not stay aside, and he stated that the Golden Ball has lost its reputation. This award was prestigious until today. I was in disbelief at the news that Real would not attend the ceremony. When you're nominated, you have a chance to win. It needs to be clearly stated who won and who didn't. It's a big disappointment for those who were left without awards. When I received the Golden Ball, I was informed about it in advance. It seems that Figu got something mixed up. It's precisely because Real Madrid somehow found out that Vinicius wouldn't receive the award, they leaked it and didn't come to the ceremony. If France Football had kept everything secret, there wouldn't have been such a scandal. Although probably what is meant here is that since Vinny wasn't informed about the victory, Real Madrid concluded that someone else would receive the award. Well then, in that case, there is some sense in this. For the first time in many years, the Golden Ball was won by a defender. And for the first time in many years, the Golden Ball is more alive than dead. While Ronaldo's missions were at their peak, the award lived only thanks to their rivalry. At the same time, the organizers did not improve the selection of the best footballer of the year. There are still plenty of those who are not there in the jury, biased fans. If you look at such publications, and someone just, judge for yourself. In such publications, and someone just, judge for yourself. On air, el Chelling Vita. Vinicius did not show signs of good in on air, el Chelling Vita. Vinicius showed limited potential and plays a restricted role on the team. Bellingham is not a central zone footballer and has a limited role. He is not a central zone footballer. Bellingham is more important. In my view, Vinicius isn't in the top 10. Porco put Jude Bellingham in first place, Erling Haaland in second, and Toni Kroos in third. It's logical, I must say. Doubtful. Okay, one can give in and say, okay, but the reporter contradicts himself. Why is Haaland in the second? He also has a limited role. He is not a central zone footballer. Rodri is more important. And there are a lot of such murky types in the jury. That's why it's not worth giving the Golden Ball such a big importance. At least, as long as Krill Casta is not on it. After the end of the Ronaldo-Messi era, the award, it seems, has depreciated. But this Golden Ball brought it back to life. I don't think Frankfurt football tried here. Rather, the necessary stars just fell into place. But remember when the World Cup last had such a powerful intrigue, and all these leaks, and Rodri will take the title. I also thought that Rodri would take the World Cup title. I also thought that Vinicius would get the World Cup. Real launched such a PR campaign that it couldn't have been any other way. Although I always said that Rodri is the best, in the end, the ceremony was simply spectacular. And not even in spite of, but thanks to Real Croach, I hope the next World Cup will be no less exciting, regardless of how fair its results will be, if they can be fair at all. And for today, that's all. Thank you for watching and for subscribing to the channel. Friends, don't forget that now there is a radio version of Dose of Football. Check the link in the description. Well, my name is Girl Cast, and this was your daily dose of football. Peace to your home and Johanga friends.